a member of the Nigerian House of Reps, Honorable Gudaji Kazaure, has disagreed with calls that women should be given more opportunity to participate in governance and political process in Nigeria. According to him, women would mess up the country if they are given more opportunity in the country's political setup. Joining us on the show is a former lawmaker, Senator Adeleke Olorunbe Mamora. Welcome to the show, sir. So good to have you.
Yeah, welcome again.
Now, before we show the clip for those of you that have not seen that video, let me ask you a very quick question. This weekend, you rejected the offer by the president, the offer to serve. Why was that, sir?
No comments, please.
No comments on that? Okay, still fresh. I will get more details from you later. All right, for those of you that missed the video of the Honorable Kazaure, watch this.
My highly respected colleagues, my name is Honorable Mohammed Gudaji Kazaure, member representing Kazaure, Roni, Wiwa, Enkwashi, Mr. Speaker, I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, I just came in. I find that they are debating about women. We should not give them too much opportunity. Because if you go to your constituency now, Mr. Speaker, majority of the voters, they are women. If one woman contests in your constituency, they will say, well, they go to support our sister. They will vote for her. And they will come here one day, you will find all these women in this chamber. And they will mess up. They will mess up. See those in the Igbo, women because 70 to 80% in this chamber, they will mess up, Mr. Speaker.
All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, the comments obviously sounds very elementary, very, very basic, but it's actually a reflection of his society and the reality of our times. In your view, sir, what are your views concerning women in the Senate, in the House? Because we've seen the numbers. Obviously, the men
are more.
The way more. Only about, I think, about 7 of it or so of them.
Only 7 women.
So, in your view, what's going on with the discrepancy of men, women in the House?
Well, I think it's a function of how much opportunities have been made available to women and how much women themselves have put themselves forward to participating in the process. It's also a function of the realities of some of our communities in the country, you know, in terms of women being subjugated. That is not to say it is right. Because as far as I'm concerned, there is no empirical evidence to say that men will do better in any sphere of human endeavor. I mean, there is no evidence to suggest that. And so what we know is that men and women, they are born equal.
Right.
And whether a man or woman can attain the highest potentials, you know, within the ambit of God-given abilities. So, and I don't want to believe that the member of the House really meant what he was saying. I don't want to believe that.
You think he was joking?
Well, it might be, because I've said no empirical evidence to suggest that,
the video for me is a major, you know, exposure to the insecurities of men in our societies and you know, an admittance of the quality, the power of the women around them. Because in that video, he was alluding to the fact that, you know, within the home, that women are such strong, dependable people that, you know,
he even mentioned that if his wife calls now, he will be on his way home to Kaduna. That
without them, they cannot be as successful as, you know, but we see a lot of suppression within this admittance. You know the strength of this person, and you think, no, I don't want you to go. Are you aware of this kind of you know, issues around? And if you have, which one have you tried to change? And I'm talking within the political party that you hold. How I see a lot of the times when the delegates are voting within parties, there are more of women than men. How much effort have you made at any point in time within your party to support a woman and say, you know, you have these qualities, come out and do this thing, and you know, and I'll give you all the support?
Yes, you recall that I did say that some of these things, you know, based on the society, some religious, some cultural, and all that. And that is not to say they're right. But having said that, back to your question, you recall again that it's virtually the practice now in the major parties that it's either that the women are allowed to pick their forms for various, you know, elected positions free
of charge.
Yes.
Exactly. So that's I mean, to encourage you know, them to be part of it, and some maybe reduction in fees and all that. And I did say again, my own experience in politics is that women, you know, they have a tendency to be more loyal, you know, and then of course when we go out to do our campaign, you have them all over the place, and they really put in so much. So I believe that it's only fair to, you know, open up the space more for women.
So, you know, I agree with you too. When I watched the video, I thought a poor attempt at a joke, you know. He was trying to be funny. It wasn't really funny. But it reflects to me the views of many Nigerian men out there. I think men in some way think that we're in competition with them instead of looking at us as partners, you know, in working towards the betterment of our country. And until we come to look at each other that way as partners, you know, we'll keep having these issues where we think that men would think they have to suppress women so that they don't overpower them. And just, you know, another thing is that also listening to him, to women, we have to, you know, it brings to mind that whatever it is that we want or we need to demand it. No man is going to give it to you on a platter of gold. Do you understand? And to hear him say that forms are given to women for free. You know, there was a meeting that we went for with Remi Tinubu, and she was saying that there was a year in 2015, these forms were given for free. Women didn't come to take them.
So we will not allow them.
They will not give it to us if you want something. And he also said we have the political force. They recognize that we have the numbers to make a difference. So let's use what we have, our intelligence, our numbers, and then go and get what we want.
Now, I'm going to come to you when you were in the House, in the Senate, and how things were, especially with the women folk in your midst. What are the challenges they have in the House? I mean, from your experience, because it's almost like a male-dominated, obviously it's a male-dominated area where men are there mostly. But how do women get their voice? Because we hardly hear them speak. Even Mrs. Tinubu one time tried to pass a bill concerning special set and the 4 million. She was contesting the 4 million or 4 billion naira budget for women and these things are drowned. It's like, what chance does a woman have in the House, in the Senate, going by your experience?
Well, you see, you cannot divorce the Senate or any other institution from the realities of the general society. That's one. So, to your question, it will appear to me that, for example, I think when I was in the Senate, we had just out of 109 senators, there were just about 5 women.
Yeah, women improved.
So that in itself could be intimidating.
Of course.
So that's a challenge there. But again, we see women who are never intimidated, no matter the circumstance. They continue to push through. And again, even when you look at the global stage, at the global stage, we have a lot of countries where women, you know, either currently serving as president of their country. Yes, Germany is there. You know, Angel. And then, of course, you even in Africa, Ellen Johnson just finished as, you know, the president of Liberia.
All right, so we have to go on a break. We have to go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll divert this conversation a bit to, I think it was Jumoke's suggestion that last week, saying that, would there be a huge difference if elected officials are paid minimum wage? Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So, for some time now, Nigerians have been clamoring for a change in take-home allowances of the elected officials, crying out that the amount our elected officials earn is way too much. They feel that if they are all placed on the minimum wage, maybe, the performances will be better. Do you agree? Jumoke,
I wanted to quickly say that the Honorable is right in his fear of women. Women are actually very powerful, and I like that in the video. He used his wife as an example. She controls him at home, and then he pointed to one of the female house members and said, imagine if you give her power now. I don't agree that women will mess up, but I must say quickly that the only person that can stop a woman is her father if he doesn't send her to school, or her husband if he does not allow her. The reason lots of women don't come to pick up these free forms is because their husbands are afraid of politics and would rather have their wives at home. Senator Tinubu said as much to us. So women, we recognizing that power, can then come together and say, aside from supporting men or carrying Ankara in political parties, we can say it is Morayo or Obi Ezekwesili that we want. And because we have the numbers and they know that we have the numbers, we come together and vote a woman, and no man can stop that. Okay. Coming to you, sir, you are trying to avoid the question.
This minimum wage, are we talking to minimum wage issue?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, before I come back, I was going to go back to him, and the question is trying to avoid. But I'm a proponent of minimum wage as a salary for all our public office holders. Why? The reason they fight so hard to the extent of going to Babalawo and killing other people and doing all sorts of things is because of the amounts of money available to them. If it was just a job that you knew that you only get 750,000 naira a month, you not kill yourself so much. No, even if that was, we have some salaries like that. Some directors in some companies get 1 million a month.
Directors in ministries.
But if they start paying 18,000 naira, we would realize that more people coming out are coming to serve. Do you agree?
Or make it part-time?
I think, may not necessarily be in the way you've put it, but I agree with you that if, you see, for me, it depends on who you are. If you believe in public service, which is public trust, and you know that service is also about sacrifice, and you want to leave a legacy, not just for yourself, and
your immediate family.
For your family as well, then you will have a different approach to public service. But a situation where it is such, you give a facade, or you give an impression as if it's about what you're going there to collect that is driving force, then it becomes something else. You miss out on the objectives of public service.
Would you have gone to the Senate if the minimum wage was the allowance being paid?
You see, I can tell you with all due sense of modesty, all my life, at least taking it from the secondary school, I had held leadership positions. I served my secondary school days as, one of the very first in my school to be deputy head boy of the school and also the house prefect combined together.
So is that a yes to my question, sir?
No, you see, what I'm saying is this. Service, yes, I would, because don't forget, up to this point in time, I still run my medical practice. Right. And I'm probably one of the very few doctors who, having served for so many years like that in politics, still run. Right. Most of my colleagues will have retired. Yeah. My medical practice is still there, yes.
So
I'm saying that it may help, that is, as a way to discourage, when people know that it's not about the money. It's about service, it's about legacy, it's about sacrifice. Then it may
Can we say it's because you're still practicing? Exactly. That's why you rejected the offer as the Abuja investment chairman of investment and infrastructure center.
I'm sorry, I don't want to talk about it. Right, please, just give that.
Senator Shehu Sani was reported in the papers as having said that the house is full of illustrious personalities, you know, big personalities, describing the co-senators as people who are not necessarily greedy, but, you know, this pay is not the only reason why they're in the House. And I wonder if you have a business that you were doing before you got into office, you will be a strong advocate of, you know, the reduction of this pay, considering the present realities of our economy
Ben
right
Bruce,
now.
he has been shouting since 2015.
And he's receiving the pay.
You know,
he says he's giving it.
It goes beyond that. It goes beyond that. When I say it goes beyond that, it's one thing to say something, it's another thing to really put into practice. Then we must also look at the larger society. I did say earlier on that you cannot divorce the larger society from, you know, or institutions.
Okay.
I tell you, most of the people that come to you as elected politicians, because you have difference between, you know, elective office and appointment. Now, most of the people that come to you, they don't come to you for the general things that will benefit everybody.
It's for their own
It's some personal things.
True.
People coming to you, making demands about, you know, wanting to send the child to school.
So we as Nigerians, what can we do to push our representatives to do the right thing, which is, of course, to slash all this bogus space?
That could be part of it. But probably more importantly is the quality. What are the antecedents of the person you are electing? People cannot just come from nowhere and then you just, you know, you don't have antecedents, they don't have track records, they don't have pedigree. Right. They don't even have the education. These are some of the things. Now, so you have to look at all these things. So we ourselves, we must look into ourselves. Most of the time, we contribute to these things.
I have an issue with the fact of the constituency projects. What does the Senate have? What business does the Senate have carrying out constituency project? Because there was the job of the local government, the state government, the state governor. What exactly is the point?
You see, we probably started the issue of constituency project. In Lagos, with all due sense of modesty, when I was speaker here in 1999, between 1999 and 2003. Now, I'm not talking of the bastardized, and pardon me for that, the use of that word. I'm not talking of bastardized constituency project. We are talking of, well, how did it happen? It was a private member's bill in the year 2000 and thereabout, when I was speaker. It was meant to prioritize the needs, developmental needs of the constituencies.
Yes.
That is, we don't want a situation where the executive will just choose to, you know, give projects to constituencies without really looking at the demands
of the people.
Because I always say that the most important role of a legislator is representation.
Right. Yes, sir.
You are elected, you're not elected as a lawmaker. You are elected as a representative of the people. And it's born out of your representative role, then you become a lawmaker. Yeah. Because it means that you must have an understanding of the problems confronting your constituency before you can then fashion out these things into laws. So it's important. Now, it was presented as a private member's bill that, look, let us give the constituencies that opportunity to determine what is priority to them in terms of project in their constituency. So that was what we did. And in fact, it came, the long title of that bill, then a bill for a law to set aside 15% of the capital budget for the development of the state constituencies. Lagos has 40 state constituencies. So that, look, you may require a road, a major road in your constituency. For other constituencies, it may be water supply.
Very true.
So that let us now allow the people, because democracy is about the people.
Okay, all right. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. We still have Senator Mamura with us. Yes, Mariam had a question.
Yes, sir. So just before we went off, you were saying how this was introduced by you, where the project that senators could do. But now, in hindsight, do you regret that you did that, especially seeing how it has been bastardized as you used?
No regrets, because we meant well. And of course, you could see the evidence throughout the state constituencies, so, during my tenure.
Right.
Sir,
You know.
I wanted to, because while talking, you said that, the people would decide which is their most important need, and that is what the constituency project will be used to address.
Exactly.
Now, this is not talking about senators or lawmakers, but local government chairmen. We have a local government in Ojo, and the major road, which is the Muwotedi Road, has been a major need for 3 administrations in Lagos. And the local government chairman priority will be to come and put water in a place where all the landlords in that area have boreholes, and just, write the new chairman's name on it. And I think, it's misplaced priority. If the people in that community need the road and they were actually asked, it will be the road. So how do we gather the information of what they need?
Of the citizen
is the most
important office. That is, you see, we must not just sit down. We must continue to interrogate those that have been elected in office, because they are not doing the citizens a favor.
Yes.
No, they have been elected to carry out certain assignments, and you need to follow up on this assignment.
I have a call from,
don't just sit back.
I have a call from Kaduna. Abdul Rashid, are you there?
Yes.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Please, you should ask the former senator, Jim, okay?
Sir.
Please, you should ask the former senator, how can we scrap the National Assembly, especially. Hello?
Especially,
I can hear you.
Especially what?
Yeah, especially the Red Chamber. How can we scrap them?
The Red Chamber.
And you, Jim, okay, that you're saying, Ben Mari Bruce has been advocating for the reduction of what they call the allowance that they take. I think it was only God that pressed Senator Shehu's mouth that
his conscience pricked him.
He said God breastplate.
Okay. Thank you, Abdul Rashid. His question.
So do you think that we should scrap? Is our democracy ripe for that?
Let's get it right.
Okay.
If you look at the Constitution, under the third schedule, I think it's item 31 or thereabout, that talks of, revenue mobilization, allocation and fiscal commission. That is the body. It's a constitutional body that has been set up to determine remunerations, allowances for all public officers, right from the local government to the federal.
Okay.
So it's not, and I think what people as citizens, as a stakeholder should do is to make representations, write memo to this body.
I think we should
and
do it.
then, push for the reduction.
Yes.
If that's one. Two is that it's different from the civil service, which has its salaries and wages commission.
Yes.
It's a different thing. But public office holders elected, appointed, and all. Then two is, you see, don't let us lose the sight of the fact that the legislature, when people just try to rubbish the legislature, I take an exemption to it, because don't let us lose that sight of the fact that the legislature is the arm of government that defines democracy.
Very true.
Once you remove it, then you don't have democracy. But what we should focus more on, what is the quality of people being elected?
Okay, you said that twice now. That's fantastic.
So it's important at all levels, not just at the state, even at the federal and all.
When you say quality of people, again, you mentioned that they're coming from amongst us. They are not Ghanaians. They're people like you and I. So what I think is, I heard over the weekend, the president saying that we do not have money for refineries now. And I think we will not have money if our recurrence is always 70 to 80%. Our democracy is too expensive for us to develop. So, and we do need the legislature. So it's to say, bring down all the amounts of money that they're earning, so that we can develop as a nation. I'd like to take a few things. There's a question to you.
Okay, let me quickly add that. You see, if I have told you democracy is about the people. Now, you have to look at, if you think we don't need bicameral legislature, that is true. Yes. Then let people come up. If it's unicameral legislature, I mean National Assembly that we want, come up with a proposal. There are so many things that can be done.
I can sponsor a bill, Abi.
Like, for example, in America, America has 2 senators per state. That's also a way of, reducing rather than 3. So it depends. Let people come up with these proposals and let it be debated and decision taken on it.
All right, thank you very much. Can we take us two quick?
Midday says, please help ask former senator how he used his constituency project fund while he was in the Senate. Alalade says, do you expect lawmakers who are serving or out of service to accept minimum wage? The answer is no. That in itself will never happen. Lawmakers should be well paid. What should be reviewed are the allowances they get.
We've just run out of time. We can't take any more. Sorry about that. Thank you so much, sir, for coming. It's always a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much.
We tried to throw a few darts at you, but you dodged. But it's all
Mariah, he's looking very fair and calm. He's at peace.
You're looking very happy.
No stress.
They stress you in Abuja. Yeah. All right.
Don't forget that I left the Senate as far back as 2011.
Yeah. All right.
So it's over 7
So
years.
don't forget to join us on Wednesday for our live audience show. We never like to miss that show because people come in here and there's a lot of energy in the studio. So come, dress nicely. We'll only take 30 people, so come early. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.